This is Nightztalker. This is part 2 of the dating game. We're going to talk about a few things. We want to talk about blind dates. We want to talk about dating with children. We want to talk about picking up people and bar hopping and the things that happen and the flaws that go with that. A lot of men rely on connections and partnerships. My sister's looking for someone. My cousin, my aunt is divorced. A lot of young ladies like to go out in groupings and they want to go out together and they want to find uh, in their group activity. It's always a little easier when you have several people asking the guys the questions. That makes it more challenging for the male. But there is an interesting thing that takes place when you go out and you meet guys in these group situations and all of your friends are involved. If you are the suitor, if you are the woman that is chosen, or the woman that does the choosing, you have to be mindful of those young ladies that have asked those questions. And of course, at first they're happy for you and they're supportive of you. There may be that one or two that may exercise resentment and feel like, hey, you got an unfair advantage and I saw him first and I asked the question. And there also is, in many cases, and I've seen this, it's not something I can make up, where those young ladies may even go behind your back and feel like that they want to get at you. And they want to get what they believe was theirs. Sometimes it's because they don't believe that your relationship is going to go anywhere. Other times, it's a way to undermine what it is that you're attempting to do. So I discourage the idea of going together in a collaborative dating idea and the dating interview and the process of resumes and interests that take place in this lady group. It is also the same thing when it comes to the male. Men get out there and they get a little messy with what they're doing when they're choosing or being chose in those grouping situations. And I discourage on both ends. If you got to go out, if you got to make the connections or however it is that you want to do what it is that you feel that you want to do, you may want to pass on it. You may want to show little to no interest in the initial stages. And once you find out that this person, they frequent this store, they frequent this restaurant, they frequent this club, that maybe, fate may have it that you may be able to connect with this person on another time on your own terms. The blind date. The blind date is a very interesting thing because the idea of being blind means you don't get to see this person. The unfortunate thing about the blind date, and I want you to remember this, is that on either side, we don't know how much information was shared by the person that is making the connection. And the person on the other side doesn't know how much information is shared or withheld on either side. So when you have someone connecting you with a blind date, and it has worked, you want to make sure of what it is that they share. And you want to make a clear example to them as to what you do not want shared. In the event that, even subjects like children or subjects like where you work or subjects like how much money you make and where you live, some oversharing can be detrimental to the idea of dating. And people may attempt to pad their resume to meet or to appear to meet the expectations that you design for your life. Now, when it comes to children, if you watched any of my other videos, it's not necessary to mention the children on the first date. If you feel like that the children are going to be that thing that makes that person opt out or assume something about you as an individual, it may not be a good idea to mention it. And that's both on both sides, men as well as women. And I really feel that men should disclose it as well. I think women get a bad rap when men go out here and they have the idea, man, she got kids. Man, she got one kid, she got two kids, she got three kids. I know some women with as many as 4 or 6 children. And when a man is out here having children by 1, 2, 3 different women in 2 or 3 different homes, whether he's caring for them or he's not caring for them, it's the very same thing. And these situations, as I aforementioned, don't have to be settled out and put out on the platter as part of the dinner date or the movie date or whatever it is that you decide that you want to do on a date. I believe that when we talk about our children, we shouldn't be embarrassed about the idea that we have children. We should be embarrassed if we're not doing what we need to do to be the best parent that we need to be with in regards to our children. And working in the family services as I do, I'm really partial to how we deal with the subject of our children. The fact that we're able to go out in the middle of the week, at the end of the week, or every week, or every day, and be super accessible when we have another life that we should be participating in. There's so many things that take place in our children's life and so many considerable responsibilities that we have to be available or avail ourselves to, that it's kind of impossible for me to believe that you have so much time that you can't spend or want to spend with me or you. The other thing I would like to talk about is how we view things. I think that if a man is a part of he has a job, he doesn't have a car. He has a job, he has a car, but it's not an up-to-date car. He has a job, he has a car, he doesn't have an apartment. He has a job, he has a car, but he doesn't have a place to stay and lives with his mom. The same scenario in reverse or in relation to a woman. I think that all of these things could probably hold for another day. I don't think we need to put all our information out there, put our whole resume out there, put our whole idea that this is going to fly out there, because a lot of times when we overshare information, it may not be the things that we need to say at this time, and we don't understand the circle and the information in the community and the way that information is deciphered. And sometimes someone could muddy the waters or frustrate future engagements, communications, and associations based on the information that you give. And if that person had connected you together in the blind date knows the fact and something that you mentioned was less than honest or less than truthful based on what they may have shared and overshared, it could cause difficulty in the way that you guys relate in the future. And in the unwillingness or the withholding of information, I don't think it's a bad idea. I just think that it's best not to say than to say something that is untrue. When it comes to the subject of dating, the most important thing to remember is what is that thing that you're looking for when you go out? A lot of people have it really mixed up, and I mentioned it on my last video. Do you want to just date? Do you want friends with benefits? Are you looking for a suitor, a soulmate? Are you looking for the happily ever after? All these things have to be clear at the outstart. The idea that you're playing around and you're talking to this guy, talking to that guy, you're in the midst of talking to somebody, and then an old guy wants to come back and he wants to talk to you now, because it looks like you're walking different, talking different, acting different, dressing different. You got a smile on your face. You got your chin up. You got your shoulders back, and all of a sudden, it looks like somebody is interested in you, or you're interested in yourself, and you're carrying yourself in a different way. And likewise, the men, when you're inaccessible, unavailable, and chipper, and feeling better about yourself. These are some clear indications to people who are in our lives, whether friend or exes, to say, hey, something's going on. And they want to make their way back into your life. If you are the type of person that is not clear as to what it is that you want in a relationship, you're just not clear, and you haven't determined what it is that you want, and you have the residue of former past relationships lingering and meandering about in your life. Maybe you should take a time out. On part 3, I'm going to talk to you about the things that you do, and the things that you must do, and the things that you can do, and the things that you should do, that will absolutely guarantee not only that you find someone or find that one that you want for your life, but how to put yourself in a position of not being desperate, not being eager, and not looking. I'm going to give you some tools in part 3. Part 3, Nightztalkers, the dating game. I'm Arnold Tate, Arnold Mr. Dad Tate. Make it a great day. Bye now.